Hey everybody, this is Suzanne, Glass Garden Beads, and today I'm going to do a little help video on the Snap To It bracelet, which is a brick stitch bracelet. And you can see I put it for beginner level, and the directions go step by step. What you're going to have in your kit are 9 colors of beads. This is the tortilla flats, and in the directions it will identify the colors by 1 through 9. And so what I did is I actually numbered the packets when I took them out: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This will help you with getting it started, because when I started the bracelet, I started it with a multicolor, like one of each color for 2 rows of beads. So we're going to start with a good arm's length of thread. I'm going to pick up 1. The directions will tell you pick up 1, 2, 3. Well, it happens to be 1 is, get that, yellow, 2 is avocado, 3 is russet. Okay, I'm going to put the thread through, and the tail will be sticking out the yellow, which is number 1 bead. And it says about 12 inches. And the reason we use 12 inches of thread for the tail is we're going to put the snap on with that other end. But you're lining it up. And now what you do to start the stitch is you're going to come back, and you're not going to go through 3 or 2. You're going to go up through number 1. So you're going to actually be exiting the same direction as the tail is. So hold on to your beads, just pull that thread through, and it's going to form a pyramid. So we're going to set this down. I'm going to get this so we get the beads kind of lined up here. You want to take some time to fuss with them in the beginning, because you want them sitting a certain way. Okay. And my number 3 bead is not cooperating. There we go. It's getting better. Okay. That's what you want. There we go. All right. So now it says in the directions to pick up a 4 first, and then a 5 bead, and you stick your needle up through the 3. All right. Trying to get it. So there we go. Go. Get them seated, and then we're going to still continue with our needle going from the bottom up the 4 bead. So 5 is at the bottom, and it's going to look like this. Okay, so this pink bead is our last bead. That's 5. So now we're going to add 6, 7. 6 and 7. My bags are getting in the way. So it's kind of like a green, a darker green, and then a purple. And then we're going to go up that number 5 bead, get them set, and then continue back up the green bead from the bottom up. I want my camera to adjust here. Here, I'll get it going here. There. All right, so the yellow is actually the start, and then you'll see a pink, purple, and dark green. It's coming out of the top is actually a dark green. All right, so now we're going to add 8, 9. 8 and 9. Put our needle back up the purple bead. It's sitting in a row, and then you bring the needle back up the orange bead from the bottom up. Okay, want them sitting. So it's a 5 bead brick. And these are size 11 delicas. Trying to get it so it's not fuzzy. Will that camera adjust? Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. I guess that's the best place right there. All right, so now we're sitting there. We have the bottom row done. It's got 5 beads, but we only have 4 on the top row, and we're coming out of that orange bead. So we have to add 1 more bead, and so then we come back to our color rotation, and we start with number 1, and we're not going to come up the bottom. We're going to slide in between, see that? Between the 8 and 9 bead, just catch that thread on the bottom. And what that does, get that tail out of there. What that does, it puts the bead on, and turn it around, and then we're going to come back up the number 1 bead. Yeah. Okay. So now you can kind of see they're offset, right? And when I start my next row, according to the directions and how we first did this, I really want my thread exiting over here. So what do? It tells you to just take your thread and weave it back. So we're going to go down number 8 bead, up number 7 bead. I think it's 7, the purple one. Down number 4 bead. And up number 1 bead. So we do have, again, both tail and, I got to pull that a little bit, tail and working thread coming out of the same bead again. Now, since we've come back this far, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to tie it. Then I don't have to worry about that, the beads coming off. So what I always refer to as a square knot. And in this case, I took the tail thread, which is on my left, left over right, right over left, and that will hold. Or you could do a surgeon's knot, which is go on YouTube and it will show you how to do that, and that will hold. Okay, so now I actually wove my thread back to the tail. And this is in directions. I'm just going through how the directions have us doing it. And we started with a variegated first 2 rows. And now the next part in the snap to it, you'll see there are some rows that are solid. Whoops, there's less shine. So now we are right here. Do you see that? Right there. And we're going to start with 1, 2, 3 rows of number 1 bead. So to do that, I am going to add, I'm just going to turn it because this is how I bead from right to left. I'm going to add 2 beads, and I'm going to kind of hold that tail out of the way, and I'm going to look for the first thread bridge. Okay, see that? I'm going to put this up here. There we go. First thread bridge. 2 beads, pull it through and let them set, get them set. All right, they're set. And you're going to come right back up that second bead in the row. I want this to clear better. Just waiting to see if it will. There you go. All right. So we are really starting our 3rd row. See that? Now that we start each row with 2 beads. All right. Now here we did 2, and if you look at the thread bridge, we're going to add a bead and go to the next thread bridge, put our needle underneath the thread bridge. Now we're connected to the row before, and then we bring the needle back up. I'm going to just hold that thread down, bring the needle back up your bead. Okay. Now we're going to add a bead. We're still on number 1. We're going to do 2 rows and go to the next thread bridge. Tuck your needle in there. Okay. Hold your working thread a little bit and just come, and I call this the top, and I call this the bottom. So I'm going to bring the needle back up through the bottom because I've already hooked it through the thread bridge. Okay. Now I'm going to add another bead. I'm going to connect. This is the last thread bridge. Put it on. Let it sit. We want to set it. I'm holding the working thread a little bit so it doesn't come right back on me. And I want to go from the bottom up here. I'll get it a little tighter here. Oh, it's wiggling. First 3 rows, you can see there's so little to hold on to. I'm kind of putzing with it, and I'm sorry about that, but I'm going to stick that needle back up, and it is like not wanting to go. The whole whole bead. Oh, goodness sake. Well, and all my tangling, I got it in the wrong. Okay, here's the last bead. My needle's going up it. All right. We now have the variegated first 2 rows, and the 3rd row is the number 1 color. So we're going to turn it around, and we're going to add 2 beads. And we're going to start the 4th row. And I'm going to go through the first thread bridge. Even though there's 2 beads, I'm going to go through the first thread bridge, because when they set, that 1 bead will be offset. See that? It's kind of like a long row, short row. Okay. Then I'm going to go back up what I classify as the 2nd bead. I'm not going to go back up the 1st bead, but right back up, and it's connected. Both beads are connected now. They're set. So then we go down, pick up 1 bead, go through our next thread bridge, which is right here. I like to hold the working thread down here a little bit. So when I do bring my needle back up through, I'm not pulling the whole bead off. All right, so I've got 3 beads on. I'm going to do another of number 1. Next thread bridge. There we go. Back up. Pick up the next bead when we're still on number 1 color grouping. And we're on our last thread bridge. And we're going to hold that working thread down so I can get the needle back up the bead. And we have two rows done. And we're going to, all I do is turn it around because I'm always going from right to left. If you're left-handed, you would just do the opposite, left to right. Add 2 beads though. We're starting our next row. Okay. And we're only putting our needle through the first thread bridge. Okay. Let me get it clear. Oh, there. Get the bead set. Get the tail thread kind of put behind me. Sorry, I'm getting the wrong thread. Okay, and then I'm going to put the needle back up the second bead. And this is my last row of color 1. Color 1 happens to be this color, the yellow. Get that tail out of there. Put the needle back up. So they're sitting like that. Another bead, thread bridge, back up. Oops, hold on to it here. Needle through it. Last bead on that row. Oops, sorry. Just having trouble getting through the thread bridge. Can't believe it. There we go. Thread bridge, last one. All right, so now we've actually completed the first 2 rows. Let me get this, of course I got the tail funny. Okay, the first 2 rows. Here. I caught the tail. There we go. Okay, we started with 10 beads, 9 colors, and now we're done. First 3 rows are number 1 color. Now we're going to do another 2 rows of variegated colors. And since we are on number 1, we are going to start with number 2. And we're going to add a number 2 bead and a number 3 bead. And we're adding the colors now. And that was color 3. And we're going to go through the first thread bridge. The stitching pattern doesn't change, but now we're changing the colors as we put it on. Okay. And since we just finished the block of number 1, we start the new row with number 2, and I just undid it. God darn it, I must have missed the bridge. All right, get the thread bridge on here. There. And back up. So if we did color number 2, 3, now we're going to add, we're just going to continue adding the colors as they are marked. 4. Okay. 5. Okay. So what this is, you get a band of solid, and then you get kind of 2 rows of marled, and the marled are actually in a consecutive counting order. We just finished with color number 6, and now we're going to go on to, I think that was 6, yep. 7. We're starting a new row, so it's going to be 7 and 8 colors, 2 beads. Catch the bridge. Set them. There we go. Now we're going to go 9. And since we can't go to 10, we're going to start back with number 1 because we need 2 beads, but we're going to go in the sequence of the, oh shoot, we don't need 2 beads. We just did the 2 here. I'm not paying attention. And then we come back up the orange. And now we pick up number 9. Okay, now what I wanted to say and got ahead of myself is, okay, we're on our last color, number 9. So we start over with number 1. We just keep 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Come back up. And now we're on number 2. Okay. Last bridge. There, got it in the last bridge. And we did our 2 rows of marl colors. We ended on with the number 2 being the last bead. Well, guess what? This was the first band of color was number 1. Our next band of color is number 2. It makes sense that we ended up the last bead on number 2. So now we turn and we add, since we're going into our solid band, we add 2 of the solid color 2, go into our first thread bridge. And then we're going to do 3 rows of solid. And you're going to do this pattern all the way up to 9 colors and start again. So once you get the hang of this, it does make sense. It's just because we have those 2 mixy rows in there, sometimes it throws you off. The brick stitch is catching the bridge, adding a bead, catch the bridge, and then come back up from the bridge on up through the top of the bead. Okay, there you go. Now you're going to continue since we're on the green, but I'm going to take my needle out and I'm going to show you, you know, the directions will get you through there. It's about getting your thread bridge, and you are going to have, see how this is indented, out, in, out, in, out. You're going to have that the whole length of your bracelet. Okay, so I'm going to take this needle off here right now. I'm going to grab, put it on the other end, the tail. And we're going to show you how to put the snap on. Oh, I'm going to need to flatten this a little bit. Okay, now you can see I'm coming out the top of the second row right here, that bead right there. It's indented right there. Okay, so I want to come, I'm going to literally, so I don't untie it. Well, we did tie a knot, so I'm going to take my needle and go back down. See that? I'm going to go back down that bead with the tail, and then I'm going to come out the bottom bead, because this is where your arms are coming out of to make your extender. Now you'll notice this one, the snap comes, we're adding beads to the top of the snap. So what I'm going to do is we want to get the right side. Okay. We want this, the side that's got the indentation. It looks like a little cup. Okay. So what we're going to do is, it's got 2, looks like a wheel. This is the top, the cup side. So we're going to bring our thread. We're going to add 3 beads. And I'm just going to choose, I think what I did was choose one of each color. So I'm going to choose 1, start with the yellow, 2 and 3. And I'm going to bring my needle through one of the holes of the snap, but I'm coming up from what I would classify the bottom. So the cup, the open cup indented side is up. And then I'm going to come back through the beads. So what this does is it kind of stabilizes the snap to the connector here. Okay. I'm not filling the top yet, but here's the top. You want to make sure it's sitting like that. Can you see? You want to make sure you see the, okay, the thread came, we put the beads on. I went from the bottom of that snap to the top and back through. Now I'm going to weave back, up, down, to the other side, up, down, up, down, up, down. And I'm going down when I really want the thread coming out the top of that blue bead. So what do? We just catch the thread at the base here. We just want to catch the thread down here. So we're kind of looping into that bridge. See, now we're coming out the top. And then I'm going to pick out 3 more. So we might as well just continue with our colors. 4, 5, and 6. And we're going to lay the snap down, and I'm going to come up from the bottom up. And I'm going to, the thread is coming out the top now, and I'm going to go back into the 3 beads that we just put on. Okay. Just go down 1. I'm just going to try to grab that navy one that I'm in. Come on. Oh, I got the, let's pull this a little tighter. Put this on. Okay. Okay. So we're connected. I want to go back down through this bead though. There we go. And I'm going to weave back again. Up, down, up. I usually do it 2 times. And I'm so close to that, I am going to go right up the bead arm. I don't think it will, it'll be fine, but we're going to come out the bottom to the top. And now we're going to add some beads. Okay, so see this little cup area, and I'm coming out of there. So I'm going to add, since I ended up, I'm going to just continue my rows of colors. I'm going to add 2 beads. And I'm going to go down. See how I went down those holes of the snap? Okay, now I'm coming up the other hole. Okay, and I'm going to add 2 more. So we're going to come over here, continuing with my color. And I'm going to go down the next hole. See that? Now, I'm coming up, and guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go through the 2 that I just went through before, or just put on. Okay. Because we got the other 2 connected, right? And now I'm coming out of this bead here, and I think there's room for 2 beads, so I'm going to continue. Beads. And I'm going to go through the next 2 beads. I want 1 of each color, basically. There we go. That's perfect. And now we're going to go through the next 2 beads. I ended with green, so it's going to be purple and orange. All right. We're going to go through the navy. There. See, so there's 6 beads on there. And they're all fitting in that little groove of the snap. And I'm going to go all the way around again. All the way around. And then I'm going to go right down one of the arms. There we go. The snap has got the beads on top. Does that help with the shadow? Let's see here. I'm trying to get it so you can see. It's kind of hazy, isn't it? I'm waiting for that to kind of focus better. There. All right. And now I'm coming out of here and I'm going to knot off. So we've actually finished it off and we still have our working thread over here to continue on. Now, when we get all the way around, you're going to just attach your snap to the other side. But what I would suggest you do is snap this on. There you go. Now you got your snap connected. So when you bring your bracelet around, you're going to connect it so you connect the bottom to the top of the bracelet, so we don't twist it. It'll make sense once you get there. But that's how you start your brick stitch. Hopefully this has been helpful. Leave comments for me. If this isn't helpful, I want to know, okay? You guys have a good day. This is a great bracelet. You've got enough beads. You should have 10 inches if you want to do an anklet, if your ankle would work for 10 inches. And meanwhile, though, you would measure this to your wrist. Just keep going. And the directions are I think they're pretty concise. So I want to hear if you have any problems. And I do show you how to put the snap on. It was more about starting this and showing you how to do the pattern. All right. Have a good rest of your day, and thanks for joining me.